how to draw the eye. Okay, so today we're drawing our eye, and I've drawn this with my eye looking sideways, so the mirror was on my left hand side. So the pupil and the iris aren't going to be in the middle of the eye, instead they're on the left hand side. And so you can see how I started this was I started to sketch in the eyelid, the top of it, then the lower lid, then I sketched in roughly where the pupil might be, then the iris, then the kind of edge on the right hand side of my eyeball, which defines where my tear duct is. Next from there I started to compare lines around my eye. So I'm a bit older than you, so I have quite a lot of wrinkles around my eyes. So I'm using those wrinkles to kind of break up shapes in order to then define where I'm going to have to put my drawing. So this is just a preliminary sketch, and you can see I've also added the eyebrow too. And the bottom of my eyebrow, you can see by that projected line, sort of stops where it comes down at the top of my iris. So the next thing to do is to start adding tone. Now the darkest thing I'm going to choose in my eye is my pupil, and from there I'm also looking at where my eyelashes are. Now don't need to put too much attention to them, because unless you're looking very carefully you can't really see them hair for hair. So what I was really working on here was just creating the edge there of the top of the eyelid, and then around the edge of the iris is also quite a dark area. Now I had to enlarge my pupil a little bit. Some people think that the pupil is the window into our souls, so perhaps I'm in there somewhere, whatever I am. And now the iris, you can see that the way I rendered iris was I did a kind of loopy rendered mark, and you're gonna notice now that the way I'm approaching the rendering of this is similar to our cross contour hatching. If you find that too difficult, just use normal hatching, or even just use a kind of round L-shaped loopy thing if you find that the contour hatching is too demanding. What I found with this was that I got very absorbed in the picture, and I ended up actually drawing it for 45 minutes. So I've had to speed it up here so I can show you how to do it more quickly. Now you can see that what I've been doing is I'm choosing the reflection on my iris to be the brightest point. That really is the brightest point on my face, apart from the other iris where the reflection is. So that means that the rest of the eyeball, the white bit that we'd usually think that we've got to leave white, is actually quite a dark grey in comparison to that white. And I've tried to use the cross contour hatching to draw very carefully the sphere-like quality of my eye. I've also added shadows underneath the eyelid, and because there's obviously shadow coming down there, and I've also added some more of an edge to the lower lid where my eyelashes are. Now that edge on the lower lid again is quite a bright place. It's almost like a horizontal or just below horizontal surface, and it's catching a lot of the light. Now I've sketched in a lot of the shapes that surround my eye, and the other eye, not that you need to copy it, just so that you know what angle things are at. So the different shapes of shadow is what you're looking for. It's a very subtle thing, but there will be shapes for you, and I have sort of identified there's the bags underneath the eyes, there's eyelids, there's also quite a savage line where the or shape rather where the nose is, because I suppose that's sticking out a lot because of the bone, and then that's creating a lot of tone. So I'm just going around each of the areas of the eye, looking at where the eyebrow is, and making connections between all of the different shapes, doing a sort of pairing or a spot the difference between my eye and the drawing. Very important to do that. So looking in the mirror, looking back at my drawing, looking in the mirror, and just starting to build a web of shapes and of tones, gradually building up, as you can see already, a sort of suggestion of the shape or the form rather of my skin and the folds in which the skin are. Now here with my eyebrow, I was just trying to get in the main tone, but I realized that the kind of edge of my eyebrow, I need to describe the shape of it by the direction of the hairs. So I've got at the start, the main chunky bit of the eyebrow, I've got just a hatch line to give it some tone first of all, and then I'm going to use a directional line to in simple quick motions. It was a bit too hard again for my monobrow, but there we go. So with your eyebrow, you're wanting to describe very much the shape of each stroke of your hair, and that will create a more realistic direction to it. So this is the next stage really. I went over everything with a contour hatch line, trying to describe the inside of my nose coming down to the eye bags, the bridge of the nose and eye socket going in towards the eye. And now I'm trying to, like weaving a net again, like a spider weaving its web, I'm now crossing over each of these lines with my other directional hatch line, which again is trying to suggest and follow contours, and with that I'm able to create areas of tone and make much more dark tones. So I've got my mid-tones, then I've got my dark tones, and as you can see I'm also readdressing other areas like on the left hand side of the eye, which still needed some contour lines to give it that tone to push back the highlighted form of just white paper, to push that back. Now I'm going over some of the dark tones underneath the eyebrow, and then again trying to address some of the lines down the left hand side, or rather the tone down the left hand side of my eye, to create that sense of the eye socket, and then just trying to suggest again some of the form on the cheek. So there we have it. That's the eye for this week. Hope you enjoy that. Sorry about the length of the video. Just quite a few points there to have to break down. I look forward to seeing the results. Bye bye.